Korea has lowest birth rates in the world, but do you think that happens without a reason? There are actually a lot of reasons why people choose not to have children in anywhere, but in Korea especially, the reasons are very strong. Let me tell you some of the reasons. First is, of course, the money. Now, when you talk about money, there are a lot of things that you have to pay for, but especially in Korea, the one thing that you pay more than most other countries is private education. These private educations are so expensive. Most parents spend at least $1,000 a month on just one children. Now that's just one children. If you have like three children and they're all in middle school and high school, all in secondary schools, uh, probably the costs are going to be like double or triple the cost that I just mentioned. And one of the things that they spend most money on is English. Now, when I say English, it's kind of sad because I'm an English teacher myself too, and I actually am in private education business. But the reason why they have to spend so much on English is that it's, English is the most important subject that you have to get good grades on in GPAs or in CSAT, which is Korean SAT kind of. So it's kind of sad, really. But I've taught it myself and I've studied myself, and the private education is not really necessary, but it's taken for granted if you want to come off as a good parent. And also, when everybody else is doing it, especially in Asian culture, you kind of follow along. But when I go to travel a lot of different countries, people speak English without private education. So that makes me sad because Koreans, although they spend ton of money in English, they don't really speak English. They don't really write English. They know how to solve questions and know how to explain English grammars in Korean, not in English, which a lot of them get wrong mostly. Uh, but while the salary hasn't risen from our parents' generation much, cost of living, like everything else around you, has become so expensive. So to add private education on top of that rising cost of living, ugh, not so much. Especially when house prices are going like 200%, 300% up, not so much. Number two is that we are very much remembering how we acted when we were children. Now, I think this is something that most people won't talk about. I've seen videos of these, and most people didn't talk about these. And I like to point out that I was a horrible person as a kid. I remember how I acted, what kind of trouble I made, what kind of problems that I let my parents go through. And I don't want to go through that. Maybe if I educate them differently, maybe if I pay more attention, I wouldn't have to go through that. But boy, I was terrible as a boy. Uh, I hope people watching were good as kids, but I was just terrible. I was just terrible. And number three is comparison. Now, in Korea, we live in a very compact society. Everyone knows everyone, basically. Everywhere you, no matter how far, everywhere you want to go in Korea is just no less than and no more than 5 hours away, 2 hours away if you take a flight or the bullet train. Uh, so we live in very compact society, very compressed society, and we are very much pushed against each other on everything in your life, from education to where you live, to what you wear, to what you drive, to what you put on your wrist, and which hospital you go to after you give birth to, and what kind of marriage proposal you got, what kind of wedding ceremony you have. Everything is compared, everything. Now, if you want to, well, take a higher ground in that comparison, obviously you have to spend a fortune. And guess what? A lot of these companies that provide services to you for wedding ceremonies or preparing your marriage or setting your children up for different kinds of education, they all want to rip you off. So I think it basically comes back to money, but the comparison itself is also a different psychological factor, I think. And we don't want our children to go through the harsh sides of comparison. So that's another reason why I believe that we're not having children. And me, myself, I want to have children, like in the future, but those factors that I just mentioned, not pretty. So if you were ever wondering why Koreans were not having children, here's why.